Hello, my friends. This is Promise. I just decided to make another video today, a little bit about cessationism. I think some of you know what that means, and if some of you don't understand what cessationism means, I encourage you to watch other videos. In this video, I just want to give you my experience, my former Pentecostal experience, and how I became a cessationist. At this point, I consider myself a cessationist, and so I just want to give you some of my experiences. So I may not get into the details of, explaining what cessationism is versus what continuationism is, and the charismatic gifts and things like that. I'll just give you a general description for those of you who might need to know what it is. But so in my former experience, I was a charismatic, right? I was a Pentecostal charismatic. So at that time, I believed in the gifts, in the spiritual gifts that Pentecostals and charismatics believe in. I mean, by the way, cessationists, they believe in the spiritual gifts and the biblical spiritual gifts. The only difference is they would say that the miraculous gifts like healing or doing some miraculous signs and wonders or casting out demons or speaking in tongues, even speaking in tongues, they believe that it is among the spiritual gifts that are considered to be miraculous gifts. So they believe that these gifts have ceased, right? And they have a reason for that, and they have a good theology about it. But again, I don't want to get into the depths of the theology, but at this point, I am really convinced that the cessationist theology makes more sense to me than what's going on in the charismatic and Pentecostal churches, or even other group. There are a group of people who would say that they are reformed and continuationist, like Wayne Grudem and John Piper and some other people like that. But I want to side with the cessationist group because they make a lot more sense to me. So what was some of my experiences in the charismatic church concerning the gifts, right? Prophecy, tongues, and healing, and etc. So, for example, I would say to you that there were a lot of so-called prophets who would come to church, and we would line up in front of the stage so that they can lay their hands on us and prophesy over us, right? I have all those experience, and I will tell you from my personal experience, the people who consider themselves prophets and who gave word to me personally, they were all liars. I'm sorry, I don't want to really bash people, but literally they lied. And I would put myself among them too, because to be honest with you, when you're part of that group, you're just like everybody else. And I would also give you some of my own dreams that I used to see, and I used to think it was from God, and I used to tell to people, and I'll tell them, I saw this dream about you. Why? Because I thought it was from God. I really believed it was from God, but it was just a delusion, and I would call it a nightmare. But let me go back to the prophecy, right? The prophecy I heard. I'll start with the prophecy I received when I went to a church called Times Square Church. Actually, in Times Square Church, they don't prophesy from the pulpit. But I remember that was maybe really long time ago. I would say maybe it could be in 2006 or it was 2007 or 8. I would say that was the time frame. And I used to go to a Pentecostal church and also another American kind of church. So in that church, I remember there was this person, I don't know who it was. He just came to me and he starts saying like, oh, you are blessed. You are called to be a prophet like Moses and Elijah. Praise the Lord, my sister. And then he just walks away. So at that time, I'm a new Christian and I didn't understand a lot of things. But guess what happened? While that person was saying all those things to me, I was like, whoa. like my reaction was, oh my God. God called me to be a prophet like Moses and Elijah. When I think about it now, it makes me laugh very hard. It's so silly when I think about it. But I'll tell you, to be honest with you, at that time, I was like, whoa. Because the kind of Christianity I knew was a Pentecostal and a charismatics. I didn't know better. So I believed these people. I believed them. It made me feel so good. Let me tell you, that prophecy made me feel like superhero. And what the guy was saying was, I'm called to be a prophet like Moses and Elijah. And I was thinking, wow, Moses, he parted the sea and he delivered the Israelites and things like that. Well, he was a guy who did some kind of miraculous kind of things, right? So I was like, whoa. So it really made me feel good about myself. So I was like, wow, thank you, God. I mean, you think I that guy just gave me an identity, honestly. At that time, I was very young. I was in my, I would say in my 20s. I would say I was probably, I was in my 20s at that time and I was young and I needed some kind of maybe guidance in my life. When you're young, when you're very young, honestly, you feel like when these people give you this kind of prophecy, they give you some kind of identity. And as young people always like to be motivated, right? So I was really happy about the prophecy. And I was like, whoo, prophet like Moses kind of thing. But it was a lie. It was a lie. God never called me to be like a prophet, like Moses or Elijah. He didn't call me to do any of those things. So that was one of the prophecy that I was given at a very, very young age. Especially I was a young Christian at the time, I was in my 20s. I would say mid-20s or something. But I was really a Christian. I was just a new Christian at the time. I would say that because that was the moment. I believe that those were the time that I understood the gospel a little bit better. So I was a fresh Christian and I needed maybe some kind of motivation and things like that. So when I heard that kind of prophecy, I was happy. The other prophecies I received was, I think, mostly in the Pentecostal church, the Ethiopian immigrant Pentecostal church. So in those churches, some of the messages were like this. God has given you the gift of healing. Okay. So I think I've heard that kind of prophecy, maybe not only from one person, maybe from 2 or 3 people, similar kind of prophecy. And they were telling me that God has given me the gift of healing. And God was going to give me my own ministry. And I remember one person actually said, oh, I remember that person said, like, God was calling me to be in deliverance ministry. He also told me that it was healing and then deliverance ministry, I was told. What else was I told? Yeah, I was told that I was anointed. Yeah. Have they ever said things like that to you in Pentecostal churches? They'll just call you to the front, or maybe you're lining up to the front and there's this super spiritual guy standing, and they give you this prophecy about how spiritual you are, or how anointed you are, and how God is gonna use you. You're gonna, do this great things, do that great thing. You're gonna heal people, you're gonna deliver people, you're gonna be special. That was the kind of prophecy that was told to me that I received, and every time I received this is my confession, those kind of prophecies, honestly, I used to feel so good. Oh my gosh, just feels so good, right? When someone tells you, like, you're gonna have this special kind of ministry, you're gonna heal people, you're gonna deliver people, you're gonna be, super anointed kind of person. It feels so good. It felt good. My flesh felt so good about it. But those prophecies were lies. They were lies. It wasn't from God. And ask me why. Because none of the things they said came to pass. And they will not come to pass. Because it was a lie, and it was a delusion. It wasn't from God. And these people were really deceiving me and deceiving everybody in the church. Some of the dreams that I used to see. Now, I think enough about, prophecy. Well, let's see. I used to see some dreams. Now, I just want to share those with you. The kind of dreams I used to see are more symbolic. They look really... It was kind of vague kind of dream that you have to try to make sense out of. It wasn't clear. Maybe sometimes it looked clear, but you just have to figure it out. Because I was a Pentecostal myself, and I believed in all of these things, and you want to be spiritual too, and I wanted to be spiritual. So I wanted to hear God's voice, because after all, I was going to be a prophet. Oh my. After all, I was going to be like Moses. So if you were like a Moses, you got to hear God's voice, right? Where are you going to get that voice from? So all these things I was told about myself somehow conditioned me to be kind of mystical person. So when I saw dreams, I used to think it was from God. I even remember a dream I saw about Obama. Obama, the former president, like the president, long time ago. I remember at the time, I think I saw some kind of dreams about him. I think I saw a dream about him, and I saw one of his bodyguard was trying to kill him, or things like that. Maybe I watched a lot of movies at that time. But I used to think it was from God. So I remember, I don't know, I used to tell it to my pastor also. At that time, I used to tell it to my pastor, giving him a lot of confusing dreams. And but the funny thing is, I used to believe my dreams, and my dreams were, sometimes they gave me anxiety. They gave me fear. What would you do if you see that kind of dream and you feel like it's God speaking to you? So you will pray and you'll try to prevent whatever situation from happening. You see, the problem with Pentecostal theology is God is really not sovereign in that circle. So you have to control even circumstances. You have to constantly hear from Him and try to control situation. That's why they need this constant message from God, and you gotta tune yourself in and hear from Him so that you can prevent certain things from happening. My dreams were not from God, but I thought they were. Sometimes I thought they were. And even ask yourself, how do you know whether your dreams is from God or not? There was no way for you to know. There is absolutely no way for us to know, because those of us who claim to see dreams, and the charismatic Pentecostal people who claim to see dreams, and God gave me this dream, and this is about this country, this is about this person. How do you know it's from God? There was no way of me knowing whether whatever I saw is from God, or if from the movie I watched, or from my own nightmare delusion of the mind. In Jeremiah it says that, right? The false prophets, they prophesied the delusion of their minds. Yeah, I was a delusional person myself, and I thought it was from God, and it was just the delusion of my mind at that time, honestly speaking. And but yeah, I don't know if I could remember other dreams that were like that. I thought it was really significant, but sometimes I see like dreams that seems to be clear about this person or that person, but it seems like either something is happening to them, or something is some kind of symbolic dreams also. I'm just trying to remember if I can remember something. Yeah, but I think I remember a false dream that I thought was from God. I think I saw one of my friends holding a baby boy, and again, I'm telling you a dream that happened maybe back in 2008, 2009, or whatever. I think I saw that dream because maybe she wanted to have a kid, and maybe at the time she didn't have. I don't think she still has, but because the people were praying for her to have a kid, to have a baby. Maybe that's why I saw her holding a baby boy, and I think I might have told her. That, like, I saw you holding a baby boy. I might even say that God is gonna give you a baby boy. I might have said that. I really don't remember exactly, but I might have said that. Ruining that girl. Oh my gosh. Honestly, that was not good. But I'm just giving you some example. So the dreams, and it didn't come true, by the way. The baby boy I saw her holding, she didn't have him. Would you blame me if I become a cessationist after all these nonsense experiences? I believe God can heal people. I definitely believe that. But at this point, I don't believe there is any person who has the gift of healing. And God heals people. But if you have the gift of healing, honestly, if you have the gift of healing, it will be the kind of healing Peter and Paul had. And they had authority over, over sickness. They, remember they were saying to that guy who was he crippled or something? They were telling him to get up and walk. Yeah, can you do that? Can you tell someone like that to get up and walk in so that they can be healed? Can you heal a blind person? Can you order the eye? Can you command the eye to see? Can you command the cancer to disappear? Can you command the sickness to go and they come true? It's a lie, by the way. All these people who claim to be healers, they make a lot of money. Just study them. If you want to know the truth about the spiritual gifts, especially the miraculous kind of gifts, the gift of healing, the gift of prophecy, research the people who claim to have them. The prophets and the so-called healers. Just do some kind of study about them and see how much money they make out of this lie and deception. They make a lot of money out of this false ministry. But is it true? No. Just by looking at their life, I can tell. By looking at their teaching, I can tell they're not from God. They don't even know the Bible properly. The people who claim to have all these ministry, deliverance ministry, healing ministry, prophetic ministry, just test them against the scripture and you see how false they are. They don't even have a proper understanding of the gospel. But they claim to have all this power and they claim to hear God's voice. They claim to be able to heal people. It's all lie. It's all deception. But they claim that so that they can have a lot of people following them and they make a lot of money out of it. They become very famous. But it's all a deception. It's all a deception. They're liars. So if you wanna learn about cessationism and why some Christian groups believe in cessationism, I encourage you, for example, to listen to John MacArthur, Justin Peters, Stephen Lawson, Jim Osman. Just check their names and check their videos. I'm sure they have a lot of videos explaining about the gifts and things like that. And also, check out the video, Strange Fire Conference. Just Google it. That's Grace to You channel. You'll find it there. And listen to different, you can even check out debates about this kind of things so that you can have the different perspective of those who hold to the view of, continuationist and versus cessationist. And then you can make your decision after listening to these people. But personally, I am convinced by cessationist doctrine. It makes a lot of sense to me. And I think one of their argument is the miraculous gifts. It was intended for the apostles, and God gave them those gifts to authenticate their message and to authenticate them as the messenger of God. So that is really true, and that's really biblical. And now you look at all these so-called miracle workers. Do you think God will authenticate them? Why would God authenticate false prophets and false teachers? They don't even know His word properly. So definitely, whatever spirit that's working in them and whatever delusion that's going on in deliverance ministry, healing ministry, and prophetic ministry, it is not the Spirit of God. It's not the Spirit of God. And I hope and I pray that God will open up your eyes for you to have discernment so that you don't have to be scammed by all these false prophets and false teachers and false healers. That doesn't mean God cannot heal. God can heal people. God can do whatever He wants to do. God can do some miraculous things. But the thing that cessationists don't accept is the people, the people who claim to have miraculous power or prophetic gifts and healing gifts. They don't exist. We don't know them. And also, speaking in tongues. I haven't met one person who can speak in the real biblical tongue. Not one person. I'm outside, as you see, and sorry for the wind. And I really like the outside. That's why I'm here. But it can be a little bit irritating or distracting for some of you who listen to me. But I hope you learned something from my testimony today. And if you have questions, if you have comments, even if you don't agree with me in whatever sense, but feel free to give me a comment. And my comment section is strict, by the way, so it kind of filters out some unnecessary, unhelpful kind of comments, if so I encourage you to leave me good comments, nice comments. Even if you disagree, you can disagree respectfully, right? But my comment section has that kind of filter. So sometimes when you leave a comment and it doesn't come up right away, it's because it's waiting for me to approve it. So there is that kind of trick on YouTube. But feel free to leave a comment and ask questions. Yeah, I hope you learned something today. And I don't think I left anything out about cessationism. I think I said everything I wanted to say for today's video. Prophecy I talked about, dreams I talked about, and why, I became a cessationist. Thank you for listening to me. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye now.